and saying it's okay to be different. It's okay to shun the traditional standard American diet and safeguard my family. And it literally is a radical act of rebellion because we have to rebel against this system in order for us to even survive at this point.
Welcome back, Heal Squad. We are back with part 2 of our conversation with Vani Hari. I know you guys probably listened to yesterday where we had part 1. Today we're going to dive even deeper into this whole subject in terms of what we can do, obviously, how we can navigate this, and also really understanding those food labels and what we need to be looking out for. Also, of course, Vani built her own company called Truvani. We'll get into a little bit of that. Without further ado, here's our conversation. So yesterday's episode, we talked a little bit about how we're really being served differently than Europe, who has taken a stance against this. I don't know why we don't want to take a stance against it, why we want to poison ourselves and our kids, but nonetheless, that's where we're at. What should people be looking out for? Because I think it's hard for people to wrap their head around eating completely unprocessed, right? Because unless you're in a situation like you were or like I was, I don't think most people are going to go completely clean and just eat vegetables and protein and not do any of this process. So what are the main ones that people should look out for? And is there just too many? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the number one thing people need to do is know what they're eating. So I have this amazing little quiz at the end of my book, Feeding You Lies, where I talk about 3 questions that you can ask yourself every time you sit down to eat. And this will not only let you become your own food investigator and your own food and journalist for your own diet, and you almost become your own nutritionist in a way. Because if you can answer these 3 questions every time you sit down to eat, you are going to be an A+ super student on what's happening in the food supply. So the first the first question is, what are the ingredients? You need to be able to answer that of everything you eat. You need to either look at the back of the package that you're opening or the items that you're consuming, or you're putting together ingredients in your own kitchen and creating, or you're going out to eat. You need to know the ingredients you're eating. The second thing is you need to find out if those ingredients are nutritious. And this is something that doesn't take a degree in rocket science to figure out. You don't have to be a doctor to know how to do this. You use your common sense. So let's take the first question, for example. You're looking at a back of a package of bread that you bought from the grocery store, and you see the label monodiglycerides on the ingredient label, and you're like, what in the world does that mean, right? And you're like, okay, what are the ingredients? Okay, I know I'm eating monodiglycerides in this piece of bread along with some other ingredients. Well, is that ingredient nutritious? 9 times out of 10, I would say 9.999 times out of 10, a chemical ingredient that's in a food product is not nutritious. It's not there for a nutritional purpose to improve your health, right? It's there actually to prevent the fat from breaking down in a product. And it's used as a preservative, and it has small, minute amounts of trans fat still in it. It was actually the ingredient that food manufacturers started using instead of partially hydrogenated fat when the FDA finally banned trans fats after it was implicated in causing 7,000 deaths and 20,000 heart attacks a year, right? And so once you figure that out, like you Google that ingredient, you figure it out, you're like, oh crap, well, maybe I should be buying that bread because that number 1, it's got that ingredient. Number 2, it's not nutritious. But then you ask the third question, which is, where do the ingredients come from? Like if the majority of the ingredients in that bread are coming from a chemical factory, that's not real bread anymore. That's not real food. So you need to find bread that's made with basic ingredients: wheat, salt, yeast, maybe a little sugar sometimes, but that's it. That's how you make bread. And so it's really getting back to basics and getting back to ingredients you would find in your own kitchen that you would cook with. And this is how I started Truvani. I wanted to change the food industry from the inside out. And so when we created our bars, I wanted to use ingredients that I would find in my own kitchen to create those bars. I didn't want to use any chemical additives or weird sugars or sugar substitutes or artificial sweeteners to do that. I wanted to use real maple syrup, real dates, real almonds and cashews and peanuts to create an awesome bar that I would have made in my own kitchen and taste homemade versus something that's packaged and processed. And so it was a feat to do it. It took us 5 years, but we did it. And
I
now we
saw
have
you
12
guys are in
flavors.
Walmart now.
Yes, so we have our protein powder in Walmart, which is literally the cleanest protein powder on the market.
Funny enough, when you said
Ingredients.
let's look at ingredients, I'm like, well, let me just pull up Truvani. I've never pulled it up to see.
Yeah.
And so when you say I want to know what they are, I see organic pea protein. I see organic vanilla powder. I see organic pumpkin seed, organic monk fruit extract, and organic chia seed. So the only thing I wouldn't necessarily know, maybe if I was a layperson, is what is the pea protein and is monk fruit good, right? So
Right.
the other
So
things
monk
you know.
fruit, yeah, monk fruit is one of the most natural sweeteners that has a less glycemic index, which is great for people who have diabetes
That's what I
or
just had
have
in my
some kind of
coffee.
blood sugar. Yeah, so some blood sugar response. So it's one of the safest versions, and we get ours without erythritol, which a lot of monk fruits are laced with erythritol too, which is an artificial sweetener. So it's something that you really have to find the right source of that, and we scour the earth to find it. And then the pea protein is actually, how we get our protein powder, how we make our protein powder. And we're using, the highest quality organic peas, and we're testing for heavy metals and glyphosate, and other contaminants, mold, and some other things to make sure it's the highest quality. And so one of the things that I use is like fast food is protein powder. Like I would imagine, like that's my fast food. Like when I'm on the go and I
Yeah.
need to make something quick, it's a smoothie. And the way I do that is I add protein powder. And I've done that for most of my life when I made these changes in my life. But when I would go to the protein powder aisle, I'd turn over the package and I could not recognize half of the label. I didn't know what I was consuming. It had all kinds of different gums in it, which now have been implicated to cause IBS and other problems with the gut and make you
Is
feel
that
bloated.
guar gum?
Guar gum, xanthan gum,
Yeah. All of those that are in the
maltodextrin,
almond milks.
yes, carrageenan, all of those act as those type of gums. Locust bean gum you see in a lot of ice creams. Um, those things disrupt your gut bacteria, also disrupt your digestion. And for me, I hated that feeling when I was on the standard American diet of like always having to like unbutton my pants or like feel really bad after I ate a meal. I don't have that feeling anymore because I'm not eating these additives, right? Then the other problem with a lot of the protein powders out there is they had artificial sweeteners that are implicated to cause cancer in laboratory animals. This
Like
is
which
something I
ones?
would want to consume every single day as part of my fast food option, right?
Which
And
ones for people so they know? Like which
uh,
artificial sweeteners were the bad ones?
sucralose, aspartame, acesulfame potassium. That's usually called ACE K. Those three are the big ones that you would find in protein powders out there, and they still exist today. Most of the majority of ones that you see on the shelf have those. And so I wanted to create something that had the least amount of ingredients, but the best amount of ingredients to still enjoy the fast nature and the added benefits of adding protein to your diet, but without the added chemicals.
I'd be
Um,
curious, by the way, to ask you like Walmart is now distributing Truvani protein powder. What was that like? Were they really excited to have something like that in there? I'm curious.
They have been an amazing partner. Yes, they have been an amazing partner. The buyer at Walmart has been a champion for bringing healthier products in, and that has been such a beautiful thing to work with because, again, I'm a food activist. There's 6 different versions of Fruit Loops on the shelves at Walmart. I'm sure they sell a lot more Fruit Loops than they do Truvani at this point, right? And to take a chance on a company like ours where we stand for something and we have this mission is an incredible message to the world that we are looking for healthier products. We want to have them. We want to bring them to our customers. And I am so incredibly enamored with that ability to do that. And it was a serious pinch me moment when I realized that this was happening. The other one was just yesterday when I saw Truvani in an airport for the first time, and I almost passed out because I've been so mad at airport food for so
Oh
long.
my
When
God,
you
please
go
don't
to
get me
some
started.
You can't even find like one organic snack at an airport
Nothing.
sometimes.
The
Yes,
only thing
nothing.
you might be able to find is yogurt. Like my daughter doesn't eat anything processed. So she's only fish and beef and meats and protein and vegetables and fruits. That's it. Like she doesn't eat anything.
Yeah.
And so the only thing I could find for her at the airport was yogurt and take off all the sugary stuff on the top and the oats and all of that. So she'd just have the plain yogurt. I'm like, my God, there's nothing.
Yeah, there's really nothing. And so I was so stoked to see that we are now in Charlotte Airport and Dallas Fort Worth and Detroit. We're making our way through, the rest of the United States. But like, this is such a enormous moment for me because gosh, this is how I want to change the world. I want to bring
Yeah.
healthier products to people. And I also want to teach people about what they can do to change their diet today, moving towards real food, unprocessed foods, so that they can feel as good as I do right now.
What do you think you did that helped you make that change that could be helpful to somebody who's been like the team inside the engineer booth right now? They love their junk. They eat well too, but they love their junk like the rest of us. We've all been kind of straddling those worlds to really take that next step. What is the best way to kind of do it? Because I always
So
advocate baby steps, but
I wrote a whole book about this. This is my first book called The Food Babe Way, where I talk about the 21 habits that allowed me to like adopt this lifestyle. And they're such itty bitty habits, but when they all come together, it just everything works together. And some of them are starting the morning with lemon water first thing in the morning. It's like it's part of my routine. I do it every single morning. It helps cleanse the liver. It kind of tastes your taste buds in the morning from wanting something sugary and sweet to something savory. And it's this just beautiful thing that I do every single morning. And it's just one of the habits that I created. Instead of going straight for the coffee or straight for, a sugary breakfast or something like that, I'm doing that first thing. And it just kind of sets my body in an alkaline moment. And I'm like, okay, I want to eat something super healthy, right? The second thing is I'd add a green drink to my diet every single day. Like it's a, yes, we're taking away the chemicals, but we're adding a lot of things back in. So again, making a smoothie with lots of greens. I grow sprouts on my front porch, arugula sprouts and broccoli sprouts and all kinds of different sprouts. And I throw that right into my smoothie along with my Truvani protein powder every single day. It's like, again, my fast food when I'm working. And instead of going to the drive-through, this is my fast food. And it's so easy. And I put ginger in there and lemon and whatever fruits I have available. And it tastes delicious. My husband drinks it too.
you
And that's
put
what we do every
ginger in
day.
there and it's good.
Oh, it's so good. I love ginger so much. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. It's so good. And then, I mean, a big hunk of it, I just throw it right in the blender. And I mean, it's so anti-inflammatory. It's so good for your joints, so good for so many reasons, but anti-cancer, all kinds of things. So I do that. And then another habit that I think really profoundly changed what was going on is I decided that the majority of food that I would consume, I would cook at home. We have 21 meals a week. So let's say, 7 times 3, at least 15 of those you need to be at home cooking
Yep.
and know what the ingredients are. And then the other, 6 that you eat out or you meet a friend for lunch or dinner or you are running around and you just, traveling, whatever, are gimmies. But if you eat the majority of food that you cook at home, you're going to have a tremendously more healthy lifestyle and you're going to be eating real food. The other thing I want to mention is changing where you shop. You can really change where you shop and you can just immediately have a better diet and a better variety of foods in your home if you just change where you shop. You go to the farmer's market instead of the grocery store. You could just make that a change and it would just be a 180 shift in your body and your health if you just said, you know what, I'm only going to eat foods from the farmer's market. It would be a game changer.
Yeah, I agree. I just started going to farmers markets. I had never
That's
gone
awesome.
before. And it inspires you to actually do better, right?
Yes.
Because you're around like-minded people. You're taking in these things yourself. You're making those choices. You're going home, and now it's like, oh, let's make something with this dragon fruit. I would have never picked up the dragon fruit in the supermarket, but I was at the farmer's market. Let's try the dragon fruit. I'm looking up what these are good for. You're exposed to different things, and you pretty much know if you're at a farmer's market, everything is good that you're going to have, even if you buy the sourdough that's made there. So I really like that. Now, in terms of what people can do to help affect change, what is the best way that we can be supportive as a collective, as a Heal Squad, and as a collective?
We have to walk the walk, and we have to talk the talk. We have to tell everyone what we're doing and why we're doing it. Like when I live this I feel like I live a very unconventional lifestyle because I was just at Legoland over the summer with my kids. And yes, I could have gone into Legoland and eaten whatever was available at the snack bar, and we could have, gotten all of that sugary, processed stuff. But instead, I just made a commitment to say, hey, why don't we stop at Lazy Acres over here, this grocery store, and get something that's healthy from the prepared food section and bring that in instead. And they allow you to bring in food. So it's like just making that radical decision to be different, to take care of your family first, to take care of your health first, and saying it's okay to be different. It's okay to shun the traditional standard American diet and safeguard my family. And it literally is a radical act of rebellion because we have to rebel against this system in order for us to even survive at this point, considering the rise in cancers and chronic disease. And so every single day I think of myself when I make a decision to do that, whether I'm like making snacks for like the Bluey show that we watched on Broadway the other day, or, we're going to Disney on Ice this weekend. I'm thinking about what snacks I'm going to bring for my kids there. I'm not just going to go to the, I'm not going to let the guy come around with that, with the, the frozen slushy thing with all the colors in it and give that to my kids. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come up with something cool and fun for my kids that have better ingredients, right? There's so many swaps out there, and I share a lot on my Instagram page of, instead of Snickers, go for an Unreal candy bar. They make a Snickers look-alike that has much better ingredients. Majority of the ingredients in there are organic. M&M, same thing. Justin's just came out with a copycat M&M that's amazing, right? Justin's peanut butter cups, also better than Reese's. It doesn't have that TBHQ ingredient. So there's so many things out there that have been created with better, more healthful ingredients that you could choose instead. So that's voting with your dollars. Then it's choosing to be unconventional, and then teaching people about it around you. Tell them what's going on. For a while they were serving Domino's at my children's school, and I decided to talk to the administrator about it. I got it removed and changed to an organic pizza chain here in town, which was the coolest thing ever. So my daughter had organic pizza for a year, delivered to her school every Friday.
Nice.
So cool. But then something happened and they brought back Domino's, and boy, did that just drive me crazy. And I thought that was going to be like, I thought I was going to just like turn into Mama Bear and like, run, and I don't know what I was going to do. But
wait, what's wrong with Domino's? First of all, spoiler alert, that's our Halloween costume this year. we were vintage McDonald's employees, I think like 2 years ago. It was a huge hit.
God.
Now we're vintage Domino's employees. Don't tell anybody, Heal Squad. But I can't eat it anymore, but I loved it. And I can see the girls in the booth are freaking out. Tell us what's wrong with Domino's now.
Well, it has a lot of very problematic additives. It's made with, conventional dairy that has growth hormones and antibiotics. It's got, GMO soybean oil is the main oil that they're using in the cheese and in the crust. And, they use what's called phase oil, which also has very problematic ingredients, that TBHQ ingredient that we talked about. So there's a lot of problems with it. However, my daughter takes her own pizza every Friday. She took it today. It's Friday. And it's a beautiful thing. And every time I think about her or eating her own pizza while being surrounded by people who are eating Domino's like the other kids, I mean, there's some people that take their own, right? But the majority of the kids are still buying Domino's. And I think about that, act of rebellion and what that is going to instill in her as she grows up.
And she's
And
okay doing it.
and she is 100% okay doing it, because from
Interesting.
the
How
moment
did
she
you
was born,
teach her though?
I was teaching her this stuff. Yeah, I mean, I've been teaching her about chemicals in food since the moment she was born. I remember she was 7 months old. She came with me on a trip to New York City on a business trip, and to keep her busy in the airport, I let her play with all the packages in the airport gift shop. And of course, they put all the candy stuff at the bottom where the kids can see it. And she's playing with Snickers and Skittles and all those things. And they even have little boxes of cereal there, individual boxes of cereal, and she sees the Fruit Loops and she sees the Frosted Flakes and she starts playing with it. And I just literally, they say kids from 0 to 7, their subconscious takes everything in more than any time period in their life at that point in time. I told her the truth about those ingredients and what was in those products at that moment, even though I knew she had no idea what those chemicals names were or anything. But I just sat and talked to her about it. I was like, well, you're playing with not real food, and would just literally teach her about that.
Yeah.
And I did that from the moment she was born. I've done it with my son, and it's a beautiful thing. And it's so hilarious because every time we go to the grocery store, he runs up to me. He goes, Mom, I spotted Kellogg's. It's Kellogg's. I mean, he knows he can just pick out Kellogg's like that.
Wow.
And it's the coolest thing. And again, we're not teaching my kids to look down upon people that are eating these foods or anything like that. What I'm teaching them is the truth about the ingredients and what they contain and why we choose different foods and why we do things differently.
What do you say, when you know better, like you do, and say you're at a friend's house and you open up their fridge and, they have young kids and everything is sugar and ice cream and processing. You're seeing the kids and they're eating all this stuff, because I always say the same thing. It's not about judgment. They just don't know any better. How do you explain to that mom what is going on without offending, without hurting, without insulting, but also to educate them?
Yeah. So if I've been in that situation a lot. I mean, it happens all the time. It happens with my own family members who know who I am and could read my blog or have access to my books or, have free reign into anything in my brain if they wanted it, right? But a lot of people don't want to change. And so for me, I am here to be there for people who want to listen, who want to learn more, and the people who want to make these changes. I'm here and I have all the resources. I have all the free resources on the blog or, the books that I've written, all 4 of them, anything that would help someone adopt this lifestyle. But it really starts with them wanting to do it. I've tried the other way around when I was young and naive, and it just didn't work. It backfired, right? They just dug their heels in even harder. And so the best thing I have learned to do is just just be the example, be the example, and people eventually come around. I mean, when people ask me, they're like, Vani, what's the best accomplishment you've had in your career over the last 10 years? What do you think is, what company did you love changing the most? It's not a company. It's my own brother. It's my own brother eliminating soda from his diet, things like that, where he started to feel better and look better. And that's my biggest accomplishment, is reaching people that I really care about and love. So
yeah, I quit
especially
soda.
Older brother that never wants to listen to his younger sister.
Did he, by the way, he ate the same way. Did he have any ailments that he had to deal with?
Oh, tons. Yes. Yeah. Yes, tons.
Yeah, so he didn't evade it. I had somebody that his name was Dr. Darren Weissman. We were doing a session and he was like, soda turns to formaldehyde inside of your body. And I'll never forget it. He said it and I go, yep, that's it. Never, ever, ever having soda again. Guys, I don't care if we've been in the desert and I'm dying and Kevin has a Diet Coke. I will not put that in my mouth. It will not happen. You have to strap me down and kill me first. I will not have it anymore because he said that. So sometimes things click. And I think today and yesterday, I'm hoping this will start to click with us. If you had to just rattle off 3 things parents should just never give their kids now, is it something colorful? How would you do it?
Artificial dyes, genetically engineered ingredients, and soda.
Yeah.
Soda.
So no more soda, no more McDonald's fries, no more Skittles. Okay. I mean, guys,
They can still have French fries. Just make them at home. It's easy.
That is the best thing. I know that you have to go, but Vani, thank you so much for everything you are doing for all of us and advocating for all of us and helping us. Whatever we as a Heal Squad can do. When you have a petition or you have something, send it to us. We'll send it to the Heal Squad. We're right behind you.
Thank you so much, Maria. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, guys, we learned a lot today from Vani, but we have more to learn. And that is that the holidays are almost here. And if you're looking at a little sparkle to that season, not with Skittles and McDonald's, I guess, but Macy's has the perfect solution. From October 18th to October 27th, their fine jewelry sale is happening with up to 75% off, plus an extra 20% when you use the code SPARKLE. So if you're searching for the perfect gift to wow someone special or to treat yourself, you know I love that. Don't wait for somebody else to treat you. You treat yourself to something shiny. Macy's has everything you need to dazzle at every holiday event. So don't wait. Head to Macy's.com. Get your holiday sparkle on. 75% off and an extra 20 if you use the code SPARKLE. Guys, go. Also, we're talking health, and you guys know I love my wonderful pistachios. So speaking of choosing snacks that are better for you, wonderful pistachios are those. They do not come with guilt. They're packed with protein and fiber and healthy fats. Plus, they come in many yummy flavors. So head over to wonderfulpistachios.com, find your go-to flavor, and enjoy. Now, ladies, are you ready to switch out your McDonald's, your Skittles, and everything in between? Even Reese's. Although there's so many healthy Reese's now out there. When you go to like Whole Foods or any of these markets, there's so many healthy Reese's if you really love Reese's.
There's so many. I think it's like, it's hard though, because it's like, it can start to get overwhelming. It's like, yes, we know that like, you're not supposed to eat French fries and Reese in the candy, but it seems like it's so even beyond that. I think where I start to get overwhelmed, it's like everything that you thought was healthy, you start to find out even that is.
Well, let's talk about that, because we're focusing on the fully processed junk. So we knew all that was never good. That was just fun stuff, right? And listen, I don't blame anybody for having a Snickers bar here or there or whatever. Pure chewing satisfaction. That was my favorite. But look I ended up with a lot of shit. So maybe it wasn't so satisfying. But when you really think about the fact that these things have such harmful chemicals in them to hurt us, the problem is we've A, been brainwashed, and B, they've become so addictive that our brains and the marketing is so beautiful that it's really hard for us to associate bad with that. Like I'm not going to remember to know the chemical specifically by name for Athena, but I'm just going to be like yucky. Yeah. And yucky's going to be my word for her.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like being a mother. We've talked about this before. I'm like, oh my gosh, Maria, whenever I become a mom, like
you see me, I tote the refrigerator bag with salmon and sardines and her healthy food, because there's nothing available. And I don't even take for granted. I was so hot in that interview, by the way. Whew, I had to keep moving my hair because I'm like, I need air.
Your hair looks so good today. We were talking about it in the booth. Yeah.
Guys, it's not washed. It's thank you, Whey, because my Whey products are in here keeping it all good. But it's heavily sweated in because I've done my infrared sauna multiple times this week and not washed my hair. And so, yeah, that's what's going on. But
I was literally like, your hair is so voluminous. I love it. And
Thank you.
And I even looked at P. I was like, it's Whey. I already know.
No, but I'm telling you, what's great about it is Whey doesn't wear your hair down. This is days of not using anything.
It looks so good.
And not doing anything to it. I literally just woke up, I just woke up like this, actually. And I don't think it looks that great,
actually,
by the way.
A little bit annoying.
But yeah, I think we know those things aren't great. I think I'm at the place now, because I'm in such a place where I have to pitch a perfect game, that there's just no option. There's just no. Yeah. I will say there was one moment I was buying Athena stuff for her birthday at like Party City, and my blood sugar tanked and I didn't have any juice on me. And so I bought some Starburst in the store, which is unlike me because I don't eat anything like that. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? There's nothing I can do right now. I'm about to maybe die and I have a child with me.
Yeah.
And so I ate the Starburst But at the same time, there was a side of me that was like, ooh, I get to eat the Starburst. And now I'm going to be like, oh, no, this is so bad. It's going to take me 20 steps back. It's not just the sugar.
Yeah.
It's the dyes.
Yeah, I think that like what we've all been, I don't know, well, I'll just speak for myself. You look at them as like, oh, that's not good because it'll make me fat. Like, or like, that's not good because it's just not like, it's not healthy. But you don't know like the deeper meaning of why.
Yeah, that it's killing you.
Yeah, that it's like, it's so much deeper than.
It's more nefarious.
Yeah, that like, I think that's what is missing of like, everybody's just going about your day and you're doing these because you're like, oh, this one little thing, like I'm okay, like, or maybe you are, you know, thin or whatever, and you're like, I can do it, like that. If that's the only implication, that's okay, but that's not the only implication, and there's so much more behind it. And there's so, I mean, just the interviews that we've had on the past couple weeks, Heal Squad, that I hope that y'all have been loving, have opened up my mind so much of how this whole industry is so deeper rooted than I think a lot of people know.
Yeah.
Yeah. My sister, you mentioned you got to have a little Starburst when you were having, a low blood sugar. My sister has had type 1 diabetes since she was, I think she was diagnosed when she was about 3. And growing up, we didn't know about all of this stuff. So anytime she had a low blood sugar, it was a Skittles. I mean, that was her favorite. It was Skittles. It was Starburst. It was all of those things. And then that became like, oh, this is what's going to help you. This is the medicine that's helping her, when really it's not. And so now she's in a position where she's having to backtrack for years of all of that and unlearn all of this stuff to actually better her health, that we thought, this is what's going to help her. Oh, she needs a sugary soda. She needs something to pick up that blood sugar. And, had we known, it would have been so different now with the health things that she's experiencing.
It's crazy. I know. I watched my dad as a type 1 diabetic my whole life. We gave him juice. Mm-hmm. So it was, but then if he wasn't reviving because his would just drop so low, we would just pack sugar in the corner of his mouth or honey.
Yeah.
But I think what I think we need to start looking at this like is how nefarious this is. The fact that Kellogg's will create and deliver a cereal that's using sweet potatoes and beets to color it in Europe, or in Canada, and then here they're like, now you guys get all the chemicals that are going to make you seriously ill. That's how we need to look at it. Like, it's not even like, oh, it's just a cheat day, or this isn't good for me, or I might get fat, like you said. No. This is pure freaking poison. And if you're not going to love yourself enough, we've got to love our kids enough to teach them. So that's the thing is, like she said, you have to walk the walk. I'm walking the walk with Athena every day. I'm not watching TV. I'm not, eating this stuff. I'm eating clean with her so that she's growing up in the way that I know is the best. Now, am I going to make all the perfect choices? No. Am I going to do everything right? No. If I, get to a situation where we're at a kid's birthday party and she wants to eat shit, I don't know what's going to happen, guys. I'm just being honest. I'm going to try my best, but it's our duty, I think, as humans to just try to keep getting better. And I think that people like Vani are helping us by exposing this. And she went to great lengths to learn all of this, clearly, because, those library days were not fun. Way easier for Google like you guys do now. But, for us having to go into the bowels of the library. And
I think she shared a lot of good tips and simple tips, and these 3 questions that we can ask ourselves and things that we can look at.
By the way, I was so nervous when I looked at her ingredients. I'm like, please God, let this not be a bad moment, because I'm putting her on the spot. I'm like, when she said, well, just look at the ingredients, and if you don't know what they are, I'm like, well, let me pull up her product. And I was like, I have to be fair. Like, if that's what you're saying, I'm going to pull it up.
And
it was, thank God. That would have been really awkward.
No, it feels like she's on, a really good mission to really help a lot of people. And so Yeah, it was a good conversation for sure.
Honey, Kevin just walked into studio, friends. And I just have to let him know that Domino's just got really bad reviews from Food Babe. And I know it's going to break your heart. It's probably breaking your gut too. I did say we already purchased the costumes. We're going to go through with our Halloween costumes, but just so you know, I am happy to relay to the Heal Squad whatever it is you're feeling right now in this moment. I'm seeing hand going on the face. You know, usually when you have to hold your face up, it's you're sad and you're defeated. So I think that that's maybe where you're at emotionally. Is that fair? No. Just tired and overworked. Well, I don't think the Domino's is going to help you there. Kevin said a lot of the fatigue we're having is probably from the food. This is true. Well, if you're thinking about your body, and I talked about this in the Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, food is our fuel. We are not trained to look at it like that, guys, but food is supposed to be our fuel. And if you're not fueling your body with good things, you're going to get sluggish because your liver's going to have to process all this shit. And you come cuddle with me, and then you can tell everyone your final thoughts as we go out, because we don't have much more here. We've got to go out, but you can give everyone your final thoughts.
I just think that it's true, but you have to moderate, and certain people have to get by. So you just do your best. And I think that you find ways to substitute however you can. So, you know, maybe I'm just making my own pizzas.
I think that's what might have to
You
happen.
know, I mean, but also there's just times.
You got a red line.
I get it. That you just, you know, it's hard for people out there. It's hard. It's not convenient. So, you know, it's good you guys are doing your part to maybe make the government or whatever more accountable for people. But I think for people that are out there trying their best, you do your best. I mean, you know, because I've also seen people go to the extreme. That's not health. That can be unhealthy too. But I just, you know, I mean, I get it.
It's just about making better choices where you can.
Yeah, and keep figuring out, like, how can you substitute some of these things, and, you know.
A little regular guy wisdom,
That's
guys. All. Thank you, honey, for always keeping it real. All right, friends. We are out of time today, but I hope you guys enjoyed these episodes. If you did, please share them with your friends, with your family, with anybody who needs to hear this. Just give them a little disclaimer that maybe they're going to get sad after. I'm kidding. But thank you for being with us, and thank you for being on this journey. We will put everything for you to find Food Babe in the description here. If you guys want to sign her petition, that is one great step you can take to help make change. And in the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present. Hey, Heal Squad, we have been on quite the journey together, and we're hearing from so many of you just how much this show is helping you heal and get better, and it makes us feel so good. We love, love, love it, and we just ask that you don't keep it to yourself. Spread the message and share the show or your favorite episode with your friends. And if you want to help us even more, you can leave us a 5-star rating and a comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and follow us on Instagram at Heal Squad. You can also DM us anytime because we love connecting with you. And finally, you can also join us on Patreon for our monthly live heal events with world-class healers and ad-free episodes exclusive only to Patreon and our Super Heal Squad for as little as $10 a month. So go to patreon.com/Heal Squad to join. Getting better isn't easy, friends, but as I say all the time, it's a whole lot easier if we can do it together. We love you all so much, and we love doing this thing called life with you.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or MariaMenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.